Portugal has been one of the most preferred nations for investment. So it's going to give a tough time to all our speakers because everybody is talking about program of different geographies as such. So moving on for this particular session, we have three panelists, starting with Mr. Paresh Karia, CEO of Acquest Advisors. Mr. Paresh Karia is a chartered accountant with a rich experience of over 20 years across banking, investment, advisory, real estate, immigration. He has worked with reputed organizations like HDFC, ICICI Bank, AB and Ambro Bank at senior levels in the areas of investment advisory and private banking. Paresh is a thought leader and has been a regular panelist on TV shows on reputed channels like CNBC and NDTV. He has also written at leading publications and portals like the Times of India, Forbes, moneycontrol.com, and Bloomberg Quint, etc. Welcome, Mr. Paresh Karia. Moving on, we have Ms. Shalini Lamba, Chief Executive India, Migrate World. Shalini has over 35 years of experience in international and domestic market as well as startup and has established credentials as a leader in aviation and travel industry. While her key areas of work has been with aviation, travel and tourism industry, she has also worked in the e-commerce with diverse roles excelling in strategic planning, project launches, brand management, brand development, and setting up of operations. Her last position in the aviation industry was Commercial Head India for SAS. Post that, she was Director of India and VP Sales and Marketing Southeast Asia for Indian subsidiary of Omento Inc., an American e-commerce company, where she has spent 5 years setting up the operations in India and SEA. Currently, she is the Chief Executive for India at Migrate World and heading the Indian market. Welcome, Ms. Shalini. Moving on, we have Mr. Rahim Lakhani, President and CEO from the Lakhani Group. The Lakhani Group is a real estate investment and service focused family office dedicated to create value and income for themselves. Today, Lakhani is proudly Quinta da Forte, Velo, and 7X investment funds are Golden Visa Immigration Investment Solutions. In doing so, please allow me to introduce Mr. Rahim Lakhani, the President of Lakhani Group itself. Welcome, Mr. Lakhani. So I think we can start with the session, and the session will be moderated by Mr. Paresh Karia. Over to you, Mr. Karia.
Yeah, thank you, Mayank, for that wonderful introduction and background to Portugal and setting the tempo for this discussion. Hi, Shalini. Hi, Rahim. Welcome to this discussion. Right. So we have been hearing a lot about the Golden Visa programs. You know, there are so many countries offering Golden Visa programs in Europe as well as outside Europe. But suddenly, Portugal seems to be the flavor of the season. You know, over the last 1 year, we have seen everybody is talking about Portugal Golden Visa. And Shalini, if you can explain to us why Portugal Golden Visa is getting so popular.
Yes, of course. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mayank, for the wonderful introduction, and hello to all the panelists. Good to be sharing this platform with you, Paresh, and with Rahim. Well, you know, the main thing about the Portuguese Golden Visa is that it's the fastest path to a European Union citizenship. It's actually one of the most popular residence by investment programs globally. And while it started in 2012, more than 10,000 applicants have received their Golden Visa over the last so many years. The best thing about this is, you know, Paresh, the requirements are clear and simple. You need to make an investment and apply. And normally within a year, you get your residence permit card. Just to share a little with you about Migrate World. Migrate World, we handhold all our clients and assist them right through the process. We have our offices in all the big metros in India and senior consultants span India. We also have our offices and our associates all over Europe and in all the countries that we deal with. So it makes it easier for us to be able to, you know, service our clients right through till they get their permit, their residence card. Well, actually in Portugal, Paresh, there are relatively affordable investment options. And the fact that you need to spend only a minimum of 7 days in Portugal is very attractive for people who can carry on with what they're doing while they're waiting for their passport. Of course, this residence permit gives you visa-free access to all the 26 Schengen states, making freedom of movement, opening up business offices, etc., much easier. And within 5 years, you can then go in and become a Portuguese citizen. Portugal, of course, to carry on, gives you many tax advantages. And like Mayank mentioned, it's a safe, secure, affordable country with a high quality of life, solid infrastructure, and the climate, well, I think an excellent retirement option, one that I'm looking at, because when I think of Portugal, it comes to sea, sand, sunshine, and serenity. And of course, the fact that I can take all my family members with me. Once you make the qualifying investment, your spouse, your children, your dependent parents, for both you and your spouse, everybody can accompany you there and can actually also reap the benefits of being a resident there. So all in all, it's a fabulous package. Over to you, Paresh.
Yeah, wonderful, Shalini. I think there are a lot of people who are looking at enjoying a retired life in Portugal, along with sun and sand, and of course the marina and casinos, and not to forget the golfing over there, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now we are looking at numbers. If we can share, if we look at the recent trends, Shalini, earlier we used to see like any other program, Chinese were the main nationals who were applying for the, who would take majority lion's share in any kind of immigration program. However, we are seeing a recent, the recent trends show that there is a change. A lot of Americans have now started looking at Portugal Golden Visa. And of course, Indians are fast catching up. If you see the latest numbers, there are a lot of Indians also who are now taking up Portugal Golden Visa. So can you tell us the reason behind this? Why are Americans so, keen on moving to Portugal?
Absolutely, Paresh. It's crazy, but for the last year and a half, the number of applicants for America has really risen sharply. And in fact, now they are accounting for nearly 20% of the investor nationality so far this year, And China, who has historically been the highest, is at 16%. So there is a trend, there is a change that is happening. And while the top 4 source countries in the past, other than, China, have been Brazil, Turkey, Russia, and South Africa, this year, along with the Americans, we see a large number of Indians soon reaching this top 5 bracket. In fact, I remember reading an article last year, late last year, which named the top 5 upcoming countries as India, Russia, and South Africa, other than the US and China. And that's amazing. And we at Migrate World have seen literally a 40% increase in the number of clients that we have who are now asking for a Portuguese residence and, of course, wanting to go on to citizenship. And rightly so, Paresh, looking at the worldly affairs today, I think a plan B is important to ensure safety, security, and well-being of your family members. Portugal gives you a very welcome, it's a very welcoming country for foreigners. And of course, like I said, with the relatively low cost of living, it makes for a great second residence. Additionally, the fact that you can earn on your investments, and you know how we are very particular in India about our investments giving us back. So when you can earn on your investments, and then once you obtain citizenship, you're free to sell your property to live anywhere of your choice. Adds on to this Portugal being a fabulous, fabulous program for literally everybody, including Americans and Indians. And of course, English speaking with a fabulous climate leads to the attraction. And India, it's closer home. It's right between, it's much, much closer home than US or Canada, which have been the preferred choices for Indians in the past. And then we've had affiliations with Portugal historically through the state of Goa, which was a Portuguese colony. Mayank just shared that. And I also believe the current Prime Minister is of Indian descent. So all this makes for a very, very good relationship. And I think business owners can, choose to expand their business to Portugal, as it's been ranked as one of the best countries to do business, with one of the highest GDP rates over the last 40 years. And the tax benefits, I'm not a tax expert, but I do believe that Portugal offers many tax benefits for foreign-owned real estate owners, as well as through the non-habitual residency tax program. So I guess I hope that clears and clarifies why a lot of people, including Americans and Indians, are today applying for the Portugal Golden Visa. Thank you, Paresh.
Right. So we can see that there are numerous benefits, of Portugal Golden Visa. And one of the benefits is that it's quite easy. You just need to make investment in real estate. So Rahim, can you just tell us what are the requirements for the investment? Where do we need to invest?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Paresh and Shalini, for taking this stage, and especially Dr. Shalini to bring it up to the knowledge of the folks listening and tuning in, and explaining it so very well on the advantages. Before I begin, I should say that today is actually the Freedom Day in Portugal. I am currently in Lisbon, so I'm talking live from there. And today is the Freedom Day to 25 de Abril, and the end of the revolution and the beginning of democracy. So PhD couldn't have chosen a better day to host, this kind of platform. And we talk about Portugal and the Indian relationships. So it's actually very, very exhilarating to speak about these. Just a small little background about us before I jog on to your question is we are a real estate development family office, originally from Hyderabad. And we've done quite a number of developments out there. I am a Canadian and lived in Canada for many years, and we have developments out there and in the United States as well. So basically, the family office has a very wide international exposure in terms of real estate and development. And over the last 4 years, we've chosen Portugal as our destination to establish and grow, because from an entrepreneurial perspective, from a business perspective, also in addition to the migration perspective, it makes a lot of sense. From the people who have migrated to the United States and in Canada, let's say about 30 years ago, have actually, the wiser ones who made it out there. When they visited Portugal, they've basically advised us that this is the land of opportunity here today and now. And I think that brings in a very interesting dynamics and a competition to the US. In fact, a lot of our investors have and are in the process of giving up their American passports to receive the European passports. So it is quite the thing that it's at the end of the day it's a round world. So going on to the question that Dr. Paresh asked is about the investment. So we are actually developing a beautiful resort within Lisbon boundaries called Quinta do Porto Velho. I'm happy to share all the details available to you. We are developing luxury brand new villas in the heart of Lisbon. Now, a lot of people will be like, okay, well, Lisbon is out of the Golden Visa program, but it is not true at all. The residential part is gone, but the commercial part still stays. So if you purchase a brand new villa within our condominium, you will be eligible for the Golden Visa because of the fact that it has a touristic license and a commercial operating license. So those projects are still available and accessible for the Golden Visa piece. Now, of course, if you do not wish to hold a real estate physical, you can also invest in our fund called 7X. And that is a venture capital fund, but also invests in the real estate projects like our Quinta project. And that is also eligible for your Golden Visa. The best part about the investment fund is that there is 0% capital gains for the investor when they exit from the fund. And Portugal, when you get down to it, when you deep dive, you will see that in many ways it's a tax-heavy country, especially when it comes to real estate. So there is a very good balance that you have between holding physical real estate assets and holding investment units inside the fund. The options are plenty. We offer the 500,000 and above Golden Visa projects. We have some in the pipeline for the 280 as well. So the projects are there. You can reach out to us. There are several options depending on your particular need, but there is something for everyone. Absolutely.
Just for the benefit of our listeners, I would like to say that, there have been some changes in the investment, program for the Portugal Golden Visa beginning January 22. Earlier, there were 3 options for investments. You could invest 100,000 in any property in any part of Portugal. Then you had another investment option of investing 350,000 This was to be in old property, which is more than 30 years old and which is going for redevelopment. And then you had another option of investing 280,000 again in old property, more than 30 years old, going for redevelopment, but located in a low density area, typically, in an interior area or a rural area. From January 22, there have been some changes in this. And the changes are essentially you cannot invest in residential properties in certain areas. These are primarily, Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, and most of the coastal areas which were earlier very popular with the investors. However, in case of this, there are you can still invest in a commercial property in Lisbon, Porto, or any part of Portugal. The restrictions which are come into force from 1st January 22 only apply to residential properties. Right. So in this case, in case of Lakhani Group, the property which they are offering, although it is a villa, it is classified, I believe. Can you explain that, Rahim? How is it classified and how is it?
Absolutely. So the idea behind that is we really have about 3 options when you purchase a villa. So you can actually come as an owner. You are allowed to come and stay and live in the villa 365 days of the year. So there is no restriction from a owner staying perspective. We also have the ability to have between 3 and 6% guaranteed yields from day one of the operations. So that is something that is appealing, especially when you are out in India. You don't really understand, what are the local laws of rentability, what are the local laws of having a staff, and you don't really want to be bothered because you have a high value business that is already operating in India. So we are basically your all-in-one service, so to speak, your property management service as well to manage these properties for you. So really, this is kind of a turnkey project for you. This is no timeshare. This is not, you're not buying a percentage unit. These properties are completely freehold properties. This will be registered in your personal names or a company name if you wish so. And the returns will be given to you, in your personal bank accounts as well. So there is no restriction on it. There is no restriction on selling the property. If you wish to sell the property also at any point in time, you can get a mortgage against the property if that is what you wish. So really, this is exactly like a residential property, except in a touristic condominium. The only restriction between a commercial and residential real estate is that, let's say you decide to rent it out. And if you don't want to live there, you decide to rent it out, then you must go through the management company. That's literally the only restriction, which is exactly what you would want, because you don't want yourself to manage and deal with people kind of coming in and out of the property, right? So this is actually a benefit to you. So we have those guaranteed yield programs as well. And we also have the variable yield programs. If you don't want a guarantee, and if you actually want to get what is on the market, we're totally welcome to do so. In any of the case, when you are applying for the Golden Visa, like Shalini mentioned, you must stay in the country 7 days per year. And the villas are open for you for those 7 days of the year for no extra charge. Okay, so you come, you spend your 7 days, you fulfill your 35 days over the 5-year period, and you get your Portuguese citizenship. So there is no extra added cost to you when you do arrive. Okay. So yeah, these are essentially the 3 options where you can benefit.
Right. Now, Shalini, talking about the 7 days, this seems to be the USP of the Portugal Golden Visa program, and that is what differentiates it from other programs. So can you please elaborate on this?
Yeah, the whole objective is to ensure that the person gets to know a little about the culture, a little about what Portugal is all about. And eventually, when you're going for citizenship, Paresh, you are required to go through an A2 exam. And it's mandatory that you go through this exam, which is just rudimentary. And you just need to know the basics about certain words and certain sentences. Portugal likes people to come there and live with them there. They want you to know the culture. Hence the 7 day a year, or if in 2 years you can do 14 years, or like Rahim just mentioned, in 5 years, 35 days. This is what is required for you to come in and stay. There is no other requirement. And in these 7 days, you can stay anywhere in Portugal. It's not that you can be restricted to a particular city. And I think this makes Portugal anyway, makes for a fabulous tourist holiday. And I see a lot of Indians from here going to Portugal to explore the option. And I see a lot of my clients now looking forward to this because they do want to carry on with their businesses in India. They don't want to break. They don't want to be able to, suddenly have a shift where they have to change from one country to another. And hence, the 7 days gives them the freedom to be able to work out their whole process, the businesses, their change in family status, children's education. Everything can be worked out till the time they get their passport and their citizenship.
And the good thing about this entire thing is that only by spending 7 days a year, you can still become eligible for citizenship. Unlike many other countries, when people are looking at citizenship per se of countries, they want to move to, let's say, US, UK, or maybe Spain, Greece, etc., you are required to physically stay in that country for at least 50% of the time to become eligible for citizen. Whereas from what I'm gathering is that in case of Portugal, you need to spend only 7 days a year, which means you can continue to stay in your home country, visit Portugal just once for a holiday and still become eligible for citizenship, subject, of course, to the language test. But I think this makes it a fantastic backup plan. You can plan, you can just invest in a property, continue with your normal life the way you are, and still create an option for you to take up a citizenship in a European country should the need arise.
Absolutely. Well said, Paresh. Totally.
Right.
In terms of the language, I'd like to point out that we actually have a partnership with a local language company that will do this all virtually. It is a very basic level of language course, so it's not, it's very, very easy if you, of course, pay attention. But it's not something that should ever really be a roadblock for anyone. And you can do this completely virtually and do the exam and everything, very, very easily even before you come. Okay. So this is something that will help facilitate as well.
Absolutely, Rahim. To add on to that, we've had recently in the last couple of years, we've had a first lot of clients who've got their citizenship, and the response was that it was they flew through it. There was no issue. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So now, coming back to you, Rahim, we have been discussing about the property options. Mm-hmm. I think the Portugal real estate market has been doing quite well over the last few years. If you could just throw some light on that, on the real estate market, what has been the scene in the past, and also what is the outlook now, given the changes that have taken place?
For sure. So, over the last 10 years, since there was actually a property crisis, as we may all know, in 2008, starting at the US, and then, moving on to Europe in about 2011 and 12. And that was actually really the inception of the Golden Visa program as well. The properties did tank in the market. But since that time, and since the time that the Golden Visa was introduced, there has been a huge influx of foreign investments into Portugal. As the statistics were very clear, you have the Chinese investment, you have the American investment, you have the Russian, you have the Turkish investment, the South African investment, the Brazilian investment. So over the last 10 years, the property market has been very, very strong. In fact, there was also, a huge injection of funds from the European Union as well, called Troika, that injected about 60 billion euros into the economy. And what that did was it went towards the building of the country and building of the infrastructure in the country and building of the roads and the highways and everything, the connectivity and the infrastructure and the IT. And I think what was Portugal, 10 years ago is completely different from what it is now. And hence why a lot of the American investments is now being attracted into the country. The property market has just been rising. Even during COVID, there were times when you were like, oh, you will find some amazing properties and at a lower price point. Did not happen. Okay, absolutely did not happen. 5.5% property price went up during COVID, and even more so now. Now that the boundaries of like COVID crisis is kind of pretty much behind us. So there is a staggering demand. The one thing that we don't have in Portugal is the supply. We are not able to actually catch up with how many the developers are not able to actually catch up with the number of properties. So that only means that the demand will keep rising, from the global markets. Okay, so this is actually a great time now. On the reversal side, I'll pay very close attention and caution to when you are investing in the interior regions of Portugal. Okay, so even though the country is connected, very good in terms of its highways and roads and everything else, the interior regions of Portugal are not as developed as one would have hoped for. So the property prices haven't really gone up in the interior regions, or are not even scheduled to go up unless the golden visa piece makes that kind of difference. But if you remove the golden visa piece, let's think about it. Like, why does a property price go up? Because there is development into the city or the county or whatever, right? So Lisbon and Porto are the hubs where majority of the investments really go, and that's where the development comes, and that's where the infrastructure gets built. And it makes sense to invest in Lisbon and Porto, even though if it's in a commercial nature like our villas, it makes sense because what is important is not just getting into the property, but also thinking about your exit plan if you want to sell the property. This is not your backyard. This is not India where a whole host of people and you will sell. Like, this is a different market. So I'll pay very much caution into where you are investing. There are projects that are being sold for 280, but really, if you go right across the road and you look for another apartment that is for the 280, you'll see that there is huge difference between what you are buying for the golden visa piece versus what is actually in the market. Okay, so I'd pay great caution to it. So not all real estate investments have grown at the same pace. Lisbon and Porto, for sure has that kind of credibility. But I'll play very great caution to investing outside of these regions.
Right. So Shalini, coming back to you, see, we have a lot of clients from India who want to migrate outside, and they would also like to take their parents. And unfortunately, when we talk about other countries, that is not possible. But I think with Portugal, that is possible, right? So,
yeah, Paresh. Sorry, what is extremely interesting about Portugal is that they really believe in keeping the family together, and along with the main applicant and the spouse, the dependent parents of both the spouse as well as yourself, provided they're over 55 years of age, can accompany you. Along with that, they also allow children up to 18 years and dependent children up to 26 years, provided they are single and enrolled in an education system. So basically, you just need to prove that they are dependent on you. And this makes for a fabulous, even in India, however we may have advanced, we're still very close to our family members. Hence, it is so attractive for an Indian to be able to go with baggage as well as parents, the whole family, and settle down there. It makes it easier to live in a new country. It makes it easier when you have support. All these things make so much of a difference. So yes, like we discussed at the beginning, Portugal is a fabulous opportunity for a residence permit leading on to a European Union citizenship for the whole family. The whole family can actually then get the advantages of living in a European Union system where you have access to opening bank accounts, to schools for your children, for excellent healthcare systems, for ensuring that you're able to get the freedom to open offices where you want. So can you imagine the benefits for the children as they're growing up? Now, as we know, the world is getting smaller, and the idea is to become a global citizen and not remain away from all the benefits that you can give to your family members.
Yeah, wonderful. Right. Just to mention over here, we know that, once you get a citizenship of Portugal, you become citizen of the entire European Union, which means that you can settle anywhere in any of these 27 European Union countries. And also your children can study in colleges and universities in any of these countries and get the education benefit. And more importantly, after your children complete their education in Europe, they will be easily be able to find jobs over there. Currently, what has been happening is I'm learning it from some of my friends whose children are studying in Europe. After completing their education, they are finding it difficult to get a job over there because first preference is given to EU nationals. So for those of you who are planning to send your children to Europe for education, if they are young, time is to start planning now so that 5 years, 6 years down the road, they become citizen of Europe and they can easily find a job in Europe after completing their education.
Absolutely.
Right.
I should also highlight the fact when you compare the tuition fees for a European university versus like an American university, you're looking at a 10-fold increase. Okay. So this is quite staggering, actually. An engineering degree, a first-year engineering course is like 2,000 euros a year here. Like, it's ridiculous. Versus, Americans, the all of America is in student debt. So it is quite phenomenal, and these degrees are recognized pretty much internationally. So I don't see the need for really that much of. I mean, of course, in today's world, you can also do a master's or whatever if you really want a Harvard or a Yale kind of university, sure. But from a bachelor's point of view, it makes no difference, honestly.
Actually, Rahim, the feel I'm getting from the market and from the clients whose children are actually wanting to go and settle down abroad and want to do their further education, realizing the fact that if they go in as a foreigner into a university or they want a job as a foreigner, rather than having a residence permit or being a resident or a citizen of the European Union countries, they are very smart. They are realizing the benefits that they have today. And most of them, surprisingly, are today looking at Europe.
Absolutely.
Because of the fact of the huge field that they have here, not just in Europe, but once you get a citizenship of Portugal, then 180 countries are available for you visa-free.
Yes.
So you pick up your passport and you go. There are no restrictions, literally, like I said, you become a global citizen. So I see the youngsters of today very, very upbeat about Europe, and Portugal gives them a fabulous gateway into this life that they're looking at for themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And talking about the passport, Shalini, we were surprised to find that Portuguese passport ranks ahead of passport of other countries, even US, UK, Canada, because if you look at US, Canada, they allow visa-free travel to about 174, 76 countries, whereas Portugal is more than 180 countries.
Yes, right. Paresh, it's today, I think the last, as per the last, World Passport Index, I think it's 5th now. It's the 5th most powerful. So it's been in the 5th, 6th for the last so many years, which is a fabulous track record.
Absolutely. And also when it comes to Portugal, we know that it is the 3rd most peaceful country in the world. We have been getting concerns. People are showing that troubles have, and there are some troubles in the Europe with the war. But war is happening right on the eastern part of Europe. When we look at Portugal, it's quiet at one side. And even during the World War I and World War II, Portugal was more or less neutral. It did not get participated. It was not affected by the war in any way. And especially when there is so much of turbulence in other parts of the world, Portugal makes a perfect safe haven for, people who are looking at a backup plan.
Absolutely. If you look at it geographically, Paresh, you're surrounded by the oceans on most of the side, and then you have your friendly Spanish neighbors on your left. And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. It gives me, like I said, serenity. It's a peaceful, gives me a feel of being somewhere where I can be at peace. And yes, in today's global world, the way things are happening in the world, I think a plan B for Portugal makes sense.
Yeah. You have been staying in Portugal for past few years, right? So
Yeah.
what is it like living in Portugal, especially for somebody, who are of Indian origin?
No, it's quite amazing. I spent, of course, my childhood in India in extreme hot, and then I spent the next 14 years in Canada in extreme cold. So I'm glad to be at a neutral temperature now. So it is fabulous. The people here makes the huge difference. I'll be very honest with you. And wherever you go, it's never about actually, just the country itself or everything. The people makes the difference, and the Portuguese people are just fantastic people, very, very warm and welcoming. They don't have any kind of racial agenda whatsoever. So I think the choice of being in Portugal, and let's accept we are brown skinned and not accepted pretty much like everywhere, and so there is that factor always in mind that we must have, and being here and enjoying the lifestyle here. We have a staff of 40 people, and about 20 of them are Portuguese, and the way that they interact and the way that they communicate, they have strong, deep-rooted family values. It just makes sense, man. It just makes sense.
Wonderful. So now coming back, we'll just take up, I think we are running out of time. I will just take up one question. Shalini, if you can briefly tell us what is the process, in terms of documentation, etc., and the timelines required for the Portugal Golden Visa.
So, as I shared earlier, it is a very easy process. Basically, you need to make your investment and then you need to apply for your visa. And in the process, it normally comes to you within a year. What is within this time, you're required to go once for your biometrics to Portugal. And what is very interesting about this program is that you invest first and then you apply, which makes it so much easier. You're already aware that you're probably going to get your golden visa within a year. And the investments have already been shared, I think, by you as well as by Rahim. So I'm not going to go into that. And it's an easy process. Documentation is very less. You just need to have your passport. You need to ensure that you're living in a non-EE, non-European Union, as well as a non-EEA, that is European Economic Area. You should be a non-Swiss national over 18 years. Of course, we know that Portugal is a country that looks at peace, and hence a clear criminal record becomes very important, both from India as well as Portugal. The applicant, of course, needs to make, as we mentioned, the qualifying investment, and the funds for the investment should arrive from outside of Portugal. Of course, if you intend staying in Portugal, then, medical insurance is a must. So there are very rudimentary documents that are required. We assist our clients to get into the right platform, to get onto the right investment, so that there's no hassle, like Rahim mentioned. A lot of due diligence is done onto our projects to ensure that they are able to get returns as well as their money back when they go in for a citizenship. And then it's a wait of probably about, I know that the last ones that I did took about 11 to 11 and a half months to get the residence permit.
All right. Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Rahim. So friends, we can see that, because of quick and easy process, lots of benefits, not only in Portugal, but in all over Europe, and a powerful passport that you get. Portugal Golden Visa is becoming increasingly popular, especially among Indians of late. Right now, if there are any questions, we shall be happy to take the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paresh, Karia. Thank you so much, Mr. Lakhani. Thank you so much, Ms. Shalini. I request everybody to give a big round of applause. I guess they have done an excellent job in discussing things in detail, specifically when it comes to Portugal. Interestingly, we have suddenly got a huge number of people joining this particular session. There are already around 290 people right now with us for the session to go with. So firstly, before moving forward, I would like to congratulate all our friends from Portugal on the Freedom Day. And thank you, Rahim, for making us aware of this and really congratulate from the bottom of our heart. Moving forward, this has been quite a common question, and we have received it once again, and this is again for Ms. Shalini. Is there a fast track option for citizenship for Portugal specifically?
Unfortunately, no. I would have taken it otherwise. You do need to be a permanent resident in Portugal for 5 years. You do need to go through the language exam and then get onto your citizenship or passport.
Great, thank you. There are plenty of questions, in fact, and we are going to take only 2 and 3. That's it, because of the proximity of time. So this question is for Rahim. Rahim, a gentleman has written, need to understand the ROI on real estate investments in Portugal.
Yeah, so the ROI is, of course, based on from project to project perspective, and if you are investing in the interior regions versus in the regions of coastal regions or within Lisbon boundaries. We have a guaranteed ROI program within our project, which is the Quinta project, about 15 minutes from the Lisbon airport. We offer between a 3 to 6% net yield on your investment over a period of 5 years, renewable after the 5 year is up as well. We also offer a buyback option if the client chooses to do so. We've sold, I said, 50% of our project, but not a single client has opted for the buyback, essentially because of the fact that these are strong properties and the returns and the appreciation of the assets are quite staggering. So it makes no sense to do it. But of course, we'll offer it if you want a kind of a safety for your investment. So yeah, this is what is being offered by our project. Now, of course, you'll say that, you can keep money in the bank in India and you'll get more, which is the truth. However, if you keep money in the bank here, you get 0%. Okay, so this is not like for like. The investments are also the ones that you are making are for immigration purposes. So not all money is also created equally. So you must think about this notion before making this investment.
Fantastic. I think you have explained in a very comprehensive manner, and I think the gentleman must have got the answer for his question too. Okay, moving forward, this question could be for everybody specifically. So it says, does Portugal have a government-approved investments and available financing options from bank?
Yeah.
So when you say government approved, what we have, as I mentioned, we have an investment fund called 7X. This is an authorized by CMVM, which is a Portuguese Securities Commission. And I must say we are really proud of this because we are the only non-Portuguese family office in Portugal currently that has this licensure. It took us a long time and a lot of interviews to get this licensure. So this is government monitored and authorized. But we have supervisory boards that are actually in place from the government to make sure that the investments are put into the right place, and there are very regulated structures in place. So in a way, you can say, but the projects itself are not governed or managed by the government. Okay, so there is a difference. It's privately managed, but government supervised.
Fantastic.
I would like to take up the second part of this question, Mayank. We have been getting a lot of clients who have been asking us that they would like to borrow to invest overseas. Right now, one needs to be careful. While the international laws, laws of that country may allow you to borrow for the purpose of investment, the Indian laws do not allow an individual to borrow money and send it out of India. So one has to be careful. Even if one is planning to do that, it has to be structured to a business in a different way. So we cannot just, an individual cannot in his individual name borrow money and send it outside India. So one needs to be careful with that.
Fantastic. Ms. Shalini, you?
Yes, no, I totally agree with that. What happens is that under foreign exchange, you're not allowed to loan money outside. So you need to be very careful when you make your investments. And hence being here in India makes it very important for us, having our offices and our associates all over, that we can help and guide the people in their investments. We have a couple of funds which are government approved, exactly like Rahim shared. And so hence we help having our associates and offices in Portugal makes it easy for us to assist our clients to ensure that there is a due diligence that has been done on the fund and that the money remains as secure as possible, that they get returns and all the other points that are related with the venture capital funds are taken care of. So it's as secure an investment as one could make, but one needs to be careful. And one needs to come on a one-on-one and speak with us, and we would guide them as to how they can transfer their money outside and ensure that they make an investment based on government rules and regulations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paresh, Shali, and Mr. Rahim. I think we will move to the next session, but thank you so much. And we really look forward to having you physically present with us. And hopefully there is no fourth wave coming to India as of now. So May is the month for us. We are starting with the International Week, starting from the 17th till the 20th, and 20th being the day for the Ambassadors Meet too. So thank you once again. And I really look forward to meeting you in person very soon.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayank and the PhD.
Thank you, Rahim.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye.